सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम। ಈ ಚಾಂದ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಶ್ಲೋಕ. Yes. Okay, I will ask. Bhaskar ji, would you like to chant? I will unmute.
Yes. अतुलितफलधामं हेमशैलाभिदेहं शैलाभदेहं धनुजनवनकुशानुं ज्ञानिनामग्रगण्यं सकलगुणनिधानं वानराणामधीशं रघुपतिप्रिय भक्तं वातात्मजं नमामि। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शरणं प्रपद्ये।
Okay. Now we will chant the Hanuman Chalisa, all of us. Shri Guru Charana Saroj Raj Nij Man Mukur Sudhari Barnau Raghuvar Bimal Jasu Jodayak Falachari Buddhihina Tanu Janike Sumirau Pavan Kumar बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस बेकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत तुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा बिकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बढ़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज समारो आप, तीनों लोक हाकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है, प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म को ये जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्त न धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटै मिटै सब पीरा, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गुसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होय। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। की जय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। So, like we had discussed in the last session, one of the things that we can do is take a sankalpa to chant, regularly once a day. One sadhana that we can take up is to do japa, right? And as part of that, we can take up this Hanuman Chalisa. So Bhaskar ji, he suggested also today on WhatsApp, he sent a message that why not take up Hanuman Chalisa itself, and in the group, in the WhatsApp group, I'll then put a message, and every day, see, like today's sadhana, today we chanted once, right? So every day, choose a time when you chant this Hanuman Chalisa, and I'll put a message in the group and ask whether it was done or no. So all we have to do is sincerely say yes or no. If not, then also we can write no, right? But if we have not done, the next day we have to do twice. Okay, twice then. Fine, we'll do that. Other choice is that if we have not done, then that day, by end of the day, we should do Likhita Japa. 40 verses you all can write, then you can write. Or, just 21 times you can write Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Okay, Likhita Japa. If we are not doing at that one particular time that we have decided to do. Okay, let's try it for next 7 days, we'll try it. Okay. Okay, yeah. And so, it is very easy to make a sankalpa, but much more difficult is to put it into practice. What is lacking sometimes is that will to make it happen. So that if we have decided on doing something, then to struggle, of course that struggle will be there, the pain will be there initially to strive to make it happen, yes, that will be there. But once that whole sadhana has been put into practice, then the joy of seeing it happen daily and so many more, benefits that we see around that. That joy is something else altogether, and it is worth the pain that was there in that initial struggle that we might have, right? So too, if we have to ask ourselves this question, ki, is there a logical way in which we can, we can explain certain things such as grace? So then, we'll say that, how will you actually explain what is grace? Or for that matter, if you ask, can you logically explain what is love? It is not possible, right? Love has to be felt in and through our experiences, that love has to be felt by us. So to this grace, how do we know that this grace is there? Or how do we say that, yes, it is this grace which is making things happen for me? What we have to do is sit and reflect on our own lives. Look back even on the past week and see where, there were these small incidents which might seem, very trivial also, but had they not to happen at the time that they did, they would have prevented many more other happenings which might have been more harmful sometimes. Or there might have been some incidences, where you would have said, oh, I am not going to be able to make this at all, say it could be reaching some place, or it could be accomplishing some task, and yet you will see that somehow things have worked out and you have gained much more than what you would have actually thought to achieve. And that is nothing but Bhagwan's grace working for us, right? So who can explain it? Can someone external to me put it, in theory and say, this is the logic behind grace? No. It has to be experienced by ourselves. We have to be able to go through our own life experiences and then be able to, relate it to that higher authority. For each one, it might be very different. So my experience might not match with yours or another's, but it is also something that each one has to feel for oneself itself and grow in that conviction towards that Shraddha, right? So here, when we feel in many ways much more rewarded than we otherwise might have been in life, then we know that it is Bhagwan's grace alone that is working for us, right? Now, going back to our topic of, putting in the self-discipline. So, what was the chopai over there? The 26th chopai was, Sab par Ram tapasvi raja, tinke kaja sakala tuma saja. Right? So, one of the, as we said, what is the main quality attributed to Ramji over here is that of being a tapasvi. One who was, and this here means what? Of being someone who has a lot of discipline in place, so that no one can point a finger at him and say that, here you fell short. No. So Ramji was like that, right? And if we see for ourselves also, the same quality as a sadhaka we have to adopt for ourselves. What is that? Of taking to such a self-disciplined kind of a life where, then we might not have to look back and say that, oh, so much I was given the opportunity, but I missed it. Okay? So here also what is important is that I have to see where my weaknesses lie. And these weaknesses, how they are in my path, right? So if I know that something is lacking in me, just the tamas that overcomes me, or be it not not being able to focus on a particular task that I have set out for myself, or a particular sadhana that I have set out for myself, right? So what then is important? One is that awareness that I have this weakness within me. Second is what? Doing something to correct that weakness. For which what is essential? this tapasya is important. This self-discipline is something that is very much important. Now you will say that, oh, where can I get it? Where can I, in today's day and age, everything is possible. Can I have an AI trained robot who's pointing out to me all day long? This you have not done, this you have not done. Nowadays we have, right? We have our watches, we have various devices, Alexa is there, so is, so is ChatGPT there, Gemini there, various suggestions we can take. But who has to implement it? It is we only, right? And the best discipline to do then is to stay away from these gadgets and try to think for ourselves what will work for me, right? And therefore, if we see also sometimes for, where is the best place to put in such kind of discipline? As children, we are sent to camps. So you go for this camp and you will, the parents will say, my child will learn to stay by himself. Now, they have come to that age where they should learn to be by themselves. So there will be some kind of discipline of sleeping at a proper time, waking up at a proper time, eating meals, accepting what is the meals given and eating that, at a proper time also, learning to share responsibilities, etc. So we are sent for camps, and that happens when we are kids or we are teenagers, etc. Right? And so too in today's day and age, and even earlier also, if we see, since ancient times, people would go on some Tirtha Yatra. The purpose of that Tirtha Yatra was what? That only, that whichever place that we are going for the Tirtha, one is to know that things are not going to be as comfortable as I have in my home. So whatever is available in that place. Of course, in today's day and age, again, you have comforts of AC hotels, etc., having buffet spreads for, food, etc. But what is important in the Tirtha Yatra is to live the life of a sadhaka, to live the life of a yatri. When we live the life of a yatri, what is it? Whatever belonging I have is only for, my sustenance in that environment. What I don't need, I don't carry, right? And whatever is the environment, maybe it is a dharmashala that we are staying in, or maybe it is an ashram that we are put at. So whatever food is given, that is to be taken as prasad. If it is given only, at 2 times or 1 time, that is it, right? Whoever is the people whom we have to stay in, sometimes it's a dormitory kind of a stay. Sometimes you won't have, separate washrooms, bathrooms, etc. Right? So whoever are the people, accepting them and doing my sadhana. Basically, when we go for Tirtha Yatras, what has to be put in place importantly is to make sure the purpose of going to that place is not clicking photos and putting on various social media, right? But more to achieve that purpose of that Tirtha. And what is that? To go closer to Bhagwan. So in that, maybe what will help is, I have taken a sankalpa to do a particular, sadhana of doing some puja or doing some archana, or it could be doing some purasharana if I am going number of times, or also going and listening to a particular pravachan which is being done at a particular place, or being in that sadhu sangata, right? So that if I am able to put a routine for myself even at the tirtha, and making sure that other things which are non-essential, I let go of those. That itself becomes a disciplining factor for myself. So one is that what should I do to put some kind of self-discipline for myself? Sometimes take a break from your usual routine, go and stay in an ashram, or if there's a camp happening, take that time to go and be in that ashram environment, take to, listening to that pravachana, doing further manana, doing further study on it, doing prayers at a particular time, being in that similar minded, being in the company of similar minded people and having discussions further on that subject, and not getting lost again in whatever the worldly needs we have, right? Otherwise we have seen, okay, even for camps and all, people will carry whatever they need, not just their gadgets, etc. They will also take, okay, food also will be taken, so that we don't miss. Yeah, that has become the norm, right? Because that food should not become a factor because of which we miss out on satsang. Okay, fine, theek hai. That also permitted, fine. So sometimes we have to come out of our comfort zones to go into a zone where, a place where you can imbibe that kind of discipline, routine. And then when we have done it consistently for a period of time, not that you come back and you forget that same, self-discipline or that routine that you had placed in that ashram, but how will I implement it back home? That should be thought of where I am in that ashram itself, or where I am in that place where I have gone for my solitude. Also, so before going for that solitude also, I should have a plan in place as to how I am going to go about. When I come back also, I should have my plan in place as to how to continue this kind of a routine for myself. Only then that sadhana, that discipline will come into place, So sometimes, Eastern psychology and all, what do they say? Oh, if you are going to force your mind into doing something like that, then it is going to be, a suppression. So, but what does the Eastern philosophy say about this is that, if you are made to do something, when from internally, from your mind, when you are not attuned to doing what someone else is making you do, then it will lead to suppression, right? But if your internal conviction is backed by external actions, if your internal conviction is going to be, implemented by your external actions, then there is not going to be any kind of, there is not going to be any kind of suppression at the mind level, but much more it is going to be that sublimation which will take off. And that will result in what? That will result in that own inner joy of doing that particular sadhana also. That which you had thought of as discipline, if you are aligned to that discipline, if you have bought that concept that yes, this is something that I need, this is something that I want to implement in my life. And when you are convinced internally, only then you will be able to, adapt it and, put into practice externally through your actions also, right? Then you don't need someone to prod you again and again and tell you, "Arey, have you done it? Have you done it?" No need. Then you yourself will say, "Yes, I'm ready. Can we go?" Right? Can we start out on this? Right? So here, what is important is that for this discipline, I have to be ready. 100 times if anyone says anything also, it is not going to matter. So that discipline, right, that tapas has to come about, the ichha for it, the desire for it has to come about from me internally. And for that there has to be a greater inspiration. Why I want to have this discipline in place for myself. Right? So even in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he says, in the 17th verse, he says, Yuktahara viharasya, Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, Yukta swapnavabodhasya, yogo bhakti. That dukkha, that sorrow is going to be destroyed, killed. By what? By the practice of this kind of self-discipline. What kind of self-discipline is this? He says, in ahar and vihar. So this is, he's giving such practical advice, tips for us. You don't have to go, and search on Google for this, but you have to mainly look into our own scriptures, where Bhagwan himself has practically given us advice. What is best for you? Do this. What is that? Have moderation in your ahar and vihar. Ahar, in whatever you're taking in your food, in your diet, in whatever practices you follow. Vihara, right? Whatever routine you might be having in terms of even for your health benefits also, right? So in that, have moderation. Whatever you are doing through the day, don't indulge too much. Have that. Okay, you need to experience something. You need to have something. Not just for your diet but also for your tongue. Go ahead, take it, but don't do over. Have that moderation in place for yourself. Now, who will decide that? We only have to decide. Further also he says, yukta cheshtasu karmasu. Even when it comes to engaging in some kind of activity, or even withdrawing from some kind of activity, there also you should have a discipline in place. You should have that kind of moderation in place. Not that someone has called me for the wedding and all, fine, I'll go, but I get so intense in that I forget that I had also taken up one sadhana to do that, right? And there is definitely going to be some 5-10 minutes for myself also in all that all that commotion that I go into. Yes, we get into that whole mode, but sometime we have to remove for our own sadhana, right? So that. Then further he also says, then what time we wake up, what time we sleep. So he says, even yukta sapnava bodhasya. Be it also, the discipline in terms of doing that thing at that time. That also should come about. And all these, if we see, they are not something very difficult to do. They are just, we have to do each activity mindfully. Schedule a plan for each of the things and then execute that plan. This was the advice given to me on the first day of this year, right, by one Swamiji. He said, yeah, everything in place at the right time, but you should also execute whatever you have planned, right? So this is what we have to do. Who has to do? We ourselves have to do. So no one is going to put that discipline into us. We are the ones who have to decide what is the discipline required for me, and then accordingly execute it. Also, practice it. So don't be too harsh on yourself also, but at the same time, if we have to make it a habit, this discipline, then definitely we have to put in efforts for it. Only then we will taste the joy of it also. Then further he says in the 27th shloka, he says, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे. So here, if we say, what is this manorath? और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे. If anyone brings a desire to be fulfilled, anyone what? Everyone goes to Bhagwan for that one, right? Bhagwan, this is what I want. So he's that unseen parent who is there waiting for us. Now you will say something, fine, right? So here, when we say manoratha, what does it mean? It means that when this desire comes into the mind, it as though sits on this ratha, on this, for what? To fulfill that desire. That manoratha, that mind, once it has boarded that chariot, and he says, okay, now that desire has come to me, now I have to, yena kena prakarena, by any which way I want to fulfill this desire. And when we get into that mode, what happens? look here, no focus on anything else, only that desire is overriding me. I'll be doing 100 things, but what will happen? Till that desire is not fulfilled, the mind will not be at rest. Right? So desire comes at the intellect, pushes the mind. The mind goes into agitation, and then also make sure that all our senses as well as the jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, they are also in that restless frenzy that now we have to fulfill this. Right? So here Hanumanji says, fine, be it whatever type of desire, when a bhakta, when a devotee comes to Bhagwan to fulfill that, Hanumanji says, oh, okay, fine. He says, okay. Is that what else he will give? Amita jivana phala pave. So he says that not just that your whatever you wanted, whatever desire that had come for you, that will be fulfilled, sure. But with this also, what I will make sure is that you have a good long life. So this phala pave, it also means that when that devotee has come to Bhagwan, it might be for a desire, and that desire might be trivial also. But the very fact that the devotee has knocked on the door of Bhagwan means that somewhere that reverence is there for the Lord. Maybe it is only a wee bit at that time, no problem. And Hanumanji says, acha, someone has come, no, to Ramji. And where is Hanumanji sitting? Rama duare tum rakhware. Right? So he is there waiting. He says, this person has come. Means there is some goodness of heart in this person. So that Amita Jivana Phala Pave, how will it come? That Amita, it is not just a long life. Then you will say that everyone will have a very long life because everyone has some desire or the other. Right? But here what will come? He will make sure that somehow or the other that the desire for more than what he has come to ask for now. Right now, the devotee might have come for some worldly desire, but then Hanumanji will say, slowly and surely, this person is going to move towards desiring only Bhagwan. And that will result in that Amita Phala. So what is Hanumanji going to do? With his grace, he is going to bless. Good, you want this, you will get this, but iske saath ye free, that way, right? But that free part, right now you will not see, it will come about. Because you will ask, okay, one desire fulfilled means something else also will come. So there will be a constant knock on the door of Bhagwan's palace, right? And Hanumanji will keep noting. And then Hanumanji will also see how little by little there is going to be a transformation in this person, in this individual, right? So to begin with, you might say that, okay, but isn't desires bad? So when it comes to the senses have the tendency to go outward, and they are like, the desire is something like poison. When will poison work? When you consume it only, it will work, right? So too, for the senses, what happens? When the desire comes, and that object of desire is there in front of me, then what is going to happen? Not that you have to consume it, but the mere sight of it is sufficient to trigger that desire in you, right? So in this way, the sense objects or those vishayas become the trigger for that desire. And once the desire comes, then that's it. Then the mind will not be able to rest, right? So here, they are like, when you see them itself, they are the ones which will trigger that desire, and therefore they are going to cause some harm for us, right? But then we have to understand that if a devotee is going to come to Bhagwan, such a devotee will come with a noble desire to Bhagwan. And what then, then you will say, okay, what is a noble desire then? So then a noble desire has two aspects that we have to consider. One is what? If I am wanting to achieve something, it might be something in terms of material gain, or it might be something in terms of having some kind of position that I desire, some place in a particular firm, or I want to go and live in a better home, or I want to have a car, etc. Fine. It can also come in terms of name and fame and position, etc. Right? So when it comes to that, any desire, one factor is the fulfillment of my desire should not result in causing pain for another person. It should not be, the fulfillment of my desire should not be at the cost of someone else. So that is very important. So that it doesn't come at the cost of another's happiness itself, right? So then second factor over there to consider is, if this desire is fulfilled, what am I going to do with it? That is something again which Bhagavan will check, right? Is it that you just want the prapti of this? No, I want this, and once I have it, that's it. No, if you think that once you have it, that's it, no, it is not going to be like this. Once you have that, it will go on to more further such gains also. Further, because the mind will not rest easy. You say, oh, it got accomplished, very good, I want more of it. Not just I want more of it, I want to protect what I have. And further, this is not giving me happiness now you give me something else. So all this, it will keep going as in a chain. But if it is a dharmic desire, if it is a noble desire, then what is it? One is that the fulfillment of this particular desire, it will lead to me achieving a further noble cause that I have put for myself. Or it can also lead for me to think that this is going to help me in doing further seva to the Lord. Then it is a noble deed or noble desire, or then it is a dharmic desire, right? So we have to also understand that never in our scriptures it is told that you cannot have prosperity or you cannot have desire fulfillment. Before the Upanishads declare that you become desire free, what is told? It is told to us how to go about managing our desires. So if you have desires, fine. In that, which are the desires which are kamya karma, which are the desires which are nishiddha karma, those that are not to be fulfilled, those that have to be taken off from our karma. And further also, what are the desires, even if I have some desires which are selfish or more arising through my own vasanas, right? Because all desires come from vasanas, right? But if they are going to be only for my benefit, then dharma also, or the scriptures also prescribe to us how these can be achieved. This can be fulfilled in a dharmic way. And also it is told how they are not in any way going to be looked down upon. So even if there is a person who is thinking that no, I am going to take, I am going to, in this life I am going to go only towards moksha, no desires for me, it is not going to be easy to do that, right? So therefore, what is a better way to do things? Fine, if I have these vasanas, right, if I want to live the life of a grihastha, then what does dharma say? Go ahead, go into grihastha ashram, go the normal way, have the 4 ashramas are there in place, live your life in that way. So that one ashrama is done, go to the next, drop the earlier one. And there be there focusedly to attain the purpose of that particular ashrama. So to here, what has to be done? The karma, for the fulfillment of my desire, if I have to do certain karma, I have to do it in the dharmic way. And once that is done, what is most important? I have to let go of that desire. Not that I keep indulging myself. Then otherwise it's not going to attain its purpose. Only then I will be able to move from what? From the earlier three purusharthas. What are the three purusharthas? Dharma, artha, kama. So only then I will be able to drop these three and move on to moksha. All four purusharthas are available to all of us. No matter which place we are in, no matter what the gender, no matter what the religion. All four are available to us. But it is upon us only which choice we make and what is our purpose. If that is clear, then referring to the Shastra and going ahead, doing our karma in the right way is going to help us go towards that ultimate purpose also. So first start with the various small goals in life and then go towards that ultimate goal of life. That is how even Shastra tells us, right? So for achieving any of our desires, what is important? First criteria, it should not be at the cost of someone else's happiness. Second criteria is I should be clear what I wish to do after fulfilling that desire. Is it only for temporary enjoyment or is it for fulfilling some higher goal that I have? Is it a stepping stone for that? Then further also, such a person who is or such a sadhaka, one who wants to serve in a more bigger way, for such a person then many more resources will be required. So one desire done, then he will use that in order to move towards that higher purpose step by step, right? So say suppose we look at ourselves, wherever we are in our life, if we look back at how many institutions or how many people have been instrumental in us reaching where we are, then that overwhelming sense of gratitude which is there, what will it tell us? Ki, arey, so many people helped me, be it my school, of course starting with my family, then further is my, whoever helped in my education, and that includes the founder of that school, the teachers involved, then further, other institutions, etc. Then say suppose I worked at some place, that gave me certain experience that led to my transformation in various ways. So each of these, if they have contributed in my journey, then there has to be a way I repay this, or I give that, I am able to repay that gratitude that I have in my heart, right? And for this, what is essential? It is essential that desire comes in my heart, that shubhecha for doing that has to happen, right? And therefore again, what is important then, step by step I will go, right? So if I have reached some place in my life, then I also want to give that gratitude to that whoever has contributed to my journey, and for that then who will provide me the resources? And Bhagwan will provide me the resources, right? So in that I also have to know that I have him to thank for ever, for all my gains. He is the one who has been responsible throughout, right? So here we have to understand that even though one might think that, oh, too much dharma restrictions, etc. are there. No, but these guidelines which have been given by Shastra, by the Sanatan Dharma, are only to help us progress on our journey. At that stage in our life, when we need any kind of guideline, it is the Shastra, it is Bhagwan and his guidelines provided, which will help us go through our life journey also, right? Then further, here in the 28th shloka, Chaupai, what does Tulsidas ji say? Tulsidas ji says, the next two we will chant together. चारों जुगत परताप तुम्हारा है, प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे. Right? So this is very sweet. Why? Because first it talks of how Hanumanji's fame is there, spread all throughout. चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है, प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे. Here first we have to understand that how is this parasiddha, isn't it prasiddha? No need to correct it. It is in Avdhi language, it is not pakka Hindi. And here there is no, those gaps are not supplemented by, it is not conjunct consonants are not there. So it is just like that. Free flowing language it is. So charo juga paratap. Pratap, paratap. Paratap tum jagata ujiyara. This Hanumanji, he is so popular. So even before any other mans came, who came? Hanumanji came. He is our original superhero. And no one anywhere in the world can claim that there is anyone greater than him, right? Be it DC Comics or any others, right? Who is, or even Marvel Comics, who is the best, who has been spoken of over ages, over yugas? It is Hanumanji. And how is Hanumanji popular? His fame has spread all through the world, and such that this fame alone is that which spreads a kind of brilliance around the entire world also. Why is that? Because if we see some people, in their presence itself, especially these sadhus, right, these mahatmas, santas, when they are there, their presence itself is so brilliant, like it is so humbling, and it is so wonderful that there is a kind of joy on everyone's face when they are there in that room, right? So too is Hanumanji. What to say of Hanumanji? He will not be in one place, he will be going in all around the world. And not just that, it is also said that wherever there is Ramji's katha happening, Hanumanji is bound to be there, right? So whenever we seek any kind of inspiration, whom should we keep in mind? Hanumanji is the greatest ideal for us. He is that ideal whom anyone, anywhere in the world can, adapt and will not be disappointed ever by this choice, right? So how is a person made famous? A person is made famous by the stories that they leave behind. It is their acharana, how they performed in a particular kind of situation which was most difficult, which none could have come out of, and yet this Mahatma, he was able to do it. So Hanumanji had so many such episodes, and therefore it is said that more than temples of Ramji, everywhere you will find a Hanumanji. So that is the glory of Hanumanji. And of course, wherever there is Hanumanji, there is Rama in the heart. Or that Hanuman stole the show. No. Hanuman stole the show because he always has Ramji in his heart, on his tongue, right? And that is the greatness of Hanumanji. And then further he says, Sadhu Santake Tuma Rakhavare Asura Nikandana Ramadulare. Now it is very important to understand, what does this mean? Sadhu santake tuma rakhware. So here is the, Tulsidas ji is telling Hanuman ji, your responsibility is what? Your responsibility is to take care of all the sadhus, all the sadhu santas, the saints of the world. You are the one who will have to take care of them. Fine. Then what then is our responsibility, Goswami ji? So our responsibility is to not do that for him, but our responsibility is to become sadhus. We have to strive to become sadhu. So what is sadhu? What is this? You want me to grow a beard or to have jatas? And right now, more in the news is the Kumbh Mela happening. Everyone is speaking of Kumbh, and if you open any kind of, web page, etc., right? What will first jump out is the crores of people who are there. And all of them, there are Naga Babas, there are IT Babas, there is people with long jatas, and everywhere there is ochre, right? So is it that a sadhu is one who is, having these kind of features, or, wearing many Rudraksh malas, or having a serpent in the neck, or Bahukruta Vesha, right? As Shankaracharya ji has said in Bhaja Govindam. So here we have to say that there is a criteria which Goswami ji has said one has to fulfill in order to become a sadhu. Not only, he's saying that Hanuman ji is the one who is going to be protector of sadhus, but he has now entrusted on us this responsibility of becoming a sadhu. So who is a sadhu? So, sadhu or sannyasi, like one Mahatma says, the sadhu or sannyasi is not just one who wears a particular color of a particular cloth, no, not like that. But it is the color of mind that one wears, right? What is the texture of the mind of that kind of a person? One who is goodness itself, through and through, that is a sadhu. And then Goswami ji has written a chaupai in the talks about who is a sadhu. So he says, sadhu charita subha charita kapasu nirasa bisada gunamaya phala jasu jo sahi dukha parachidra durava bandaniya jehi jaga jasa pava. So first line he says, who is the sadhu? One who is like kapas. Sadhu charita subha charita kapasu. A person whose character is like how? Like that pure kapas, that cotton. Cotton, have you seen? You will see that cotton comes from the pod, and it is not like that pod at all. It is white, pure white in color, and it is very soft. But how is this fruit of this cotton? It is niras. Niras means it doesn't have any juice. It appears to be very dry. Right? So it is niras, very dry, doesn't have any, here in terms of a sadhu, what is it? That sadhu is very niras, has no joy, no taste for the world. He's there in the world, he's seeing, observing everything, but he's not attached to anything in that world. That is that nirasa, Vishaya nirasa, one who has no kind of any kind of appeal for that world. He's not having any kind of rasa for that Vishaya swada in the world. So such is the sadhu. Therefore, the first quality of a sadhu is what? To be desireless. The desirelessness of, and how is it expressed? In being detached. Fine. Something is there? Okay. If it is not there, that is also fine. So whatever the person was prior to gaining that object or after gaining the object, the person will be sama in all ways. With or without, that person is, that sadhu is fine. He's not dependent on his joy on some object or anything in this world for that matter. So he is nirasa, desireless. Second is what? Vishada. Vishada means what? Very pure. This pure like what? Pure like that cotton itself, right? So in any transaction that this sadhu does, he will ensure that what drives that transaction. Or if you want to, you feel transaction is not something which I understand. So any interaction that sadhu has with any person, right? What drives that conversation is that sadhutva. What is sadhutva? Sadhutva is the purity of mind. And how does it reflect? Through the values, through the goodness of that, goodness in character of that person. Whatever that person does is done with a lot of purity, not not in any way to gain something at the cost of anyone, or not in any way to compete with someone, but for the sheer joy of doing that act, or for the sheer joy of making someone benefit from that experience. That is that person's whole intent in doing it, right? So in our scriptures, sadhanas, it is said sadhanas are not very optional. Whatever sadhana is there, it is to be done. In what way? Without any kind of compromise, right? So here also, what is it? To become sadhu, what is it that we have to make sure? We have to become pure. We have to become transparent. That whether we have attained that purity or no, we will only ourselves know. If there is some kind of agitation in any kind of interaction that we have, or there is some kind of a backlash which is coming from our own consciousness, right? Our own consciousness, as in our mind tells, I shouldn't have done it, but doesn't matter, I have done it, doesn't matter. No. So how do I correct that? That will tell my purity. How much time do I take to bounce back from that situation, so that the mind doesn't remain restless for long? That tells of our purity. And then further, third one is what? First one is nirasa, second one is visada, and third is gunamaya. Gunamaya, person with values. And not that you just have the values. Oh, I know of honesty. Oh, I know of shamadama. No, I also know that I have to do charity, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. Not just being aware of those values, but owning up those values as mine, my nature itself, such that it becomes inherent part of me. That is being gunamaya. So through and through, I am those gunas only. That guna actually embodies me, or I embody that guna itself. That is what means gunamaya, right? So sadhu is what? Sadhu is one who is endowed by values, and these values are not for my selfish reason, but for the benefit of the world in general, right? So what happens then in the presence of such a person? We will see that when such Mahatmas come into a place, immediately there is that everyone has a smile on their face. Everyone feels very calm and feels a kind of prasannata that has come over those people's mind. And this we would have seen, even people who have said they have heard our Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmaya speak, or whenever Guruji, Swami Tejamananji is there, immediately there is a pleasantness that comes about the mind. There is no kind of agitation in the mind, and people just want to enjoy that rasa of being in the presence of such a sadhu, right? So here in the verse, what does in Judge Chopai, I will finish that and then we'll close the class. In the second part he says, Jo sahi dukha parachidra durava bandaniya jehi jaga jasa pava. So how is, again going to our example of that kapasa, that cotton. How is it that cotton, even after it is picked, then what is done? Then some person takes that and beats it. And not just that beats it, then further, it is gone through a lot of wear and tear, and then, this needle is used to poke and make one kurta out of it. And that cotton says, okay, fine, you have beaten me, you have poked me, and he says, oh, you want to wear me? Fine, go ahead. Right? And that cotton protects that very person who has done this or made it suffer in various ways. That cotton doesn't complain. It is just the example given in that way. So too, a sadhu who is nirasa, visada, gunamaya, one who is full of virtues, such a person, such an individual, even if there is someone who has done bad or has criticized the sadhu in any way, or done something which is harmful for this person in any way, yet when it comes to it, this sadhu, this person will do the best possible for the benefit of that person who has done something wrong to him. Right? Such is the compassion of this sadhu. So whoever gave that sorrow also unto that sadhu purusha, what will that sadhu purusha do? He will only bless that person. He will not say anything bad for that person, he will only bless that person. Right? So Hanumanji, what is he going to do? He is going to protect such a sadhu purusha. And so therefore it is said, sadhu santake tuma rakhware. And further if we say that in our scriptures, even Chanakya ji says that, okay, it is good to be good, it is good to be, but it is not right to be completely naive also. It is good to be simple, he says, but don't be a simpleton. So you can be good in the world, but at the same time know that when it comes to it, that sadhu can rise up to the occasion, and whatever has to be done for the jana hita, whatever has to be done as per dharma to protect that dharma, he will go ahead and do that. And therefore it is that Hanumanji is the one who will come to protect such a person. Okay, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, right? And therefore it is who is that protector of dharma? It is Hanumanji. And he will come to the rescue of these sadhu purushas. And so who has to become that sadhu? We have to become that sadhu. Okay. So that, what is important? To be nirasa, desireless, or rather being detached. Not that we become totally, oh, I have become very dry in my world. No, you will have emotions, you will have your own desires, but where to indulge, where to come out of that should be clear. That detachedness has to come about. Right? Then what is the other one? Visada. Vishada, one is that, if I am there in any kind of transaction or I am interacting with someone, it should not be done out of any kind of hidden agenda. Rather, one has to be very transparent in whatever we are doing. And third is what? Third is that one has to be very gunamaya. Whatever virtues I can adapt, inculcate and practice in my life, that I have to do to my best and not compromise in any way. Okay, so we'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु। बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र की, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हरिओम। So let's not forget about our sankalpa, right? So we have done one, right? We have to make sure that we continue every day. Okay, Hariom. Today is, today is Taponji Maharaj's Samadhi Divas. So it is also an auspicious day for all of us to take to sadhana. Okay, Hariom.